Hello and welcome to episode 112 of the Boot Nerds podcast. JayMike, what's up?
I actually just got back from a Unisport shoot, so I literally just sat down, so I'm still in my outfit. But otherwise, things are very, very good. I mean, when is it not good when you're out playing football in the sun? So yeah, not complaining. How are you, my friend? I'm
doing pretty well. Nothing to complain about, nothing super noteworthy, but I am excited what we're going to be talking about today.
Oh, yes.
Because I think these are two boots that have come out of absolutely nowhere.
Yes, and that's actually a pretty interesting thing in today's world that we don't really hear about stuff, and we don't see any leaks. I of course have known about both of them because we do videos in advance and all that stuff. But I think the majority of the boot world didn't really know, and I'm not sure. Did you know about these either?
I had no idea. I had no idea about either of these.
See, that's a pretty cool thing. I'm also kind of a bad friend that I didn't tell you, but NDAs and stuff, so I officially can't. But we're going to talk about the El Retorno today and the Mizuno Morelia Wave remake, which is very, very nice. Where do you want to start?
I think we start with the Mizunos because I feel like viewers of the Boot Nerds podcast, regular viewers, they love it when we talk about Mizuno, and I feel like we haven't talked about them a lot lately.
But that's because nothing has happened from Mizuno for a while, really. I mean, that red pack, it has been around for, I guess, ages. And that's why it kind of came out of the blue, this one, the white and blue, ha. Okay. And I got pretty excited when I saw these. I didn't know until, a month ago that these were going to come out. And when I saw them for the first time, I was like, are you kidding me? Is this actually happening? And then I got them sent from Mizuno. They sent them out before the launch. They're nice like that. But I got them on my feed. And I once again, I think I actually spoke out the words, are you kidding me? Because I don't know what they were putting in the water in the Mizuno factories back in the early 2000s, but they could make football boots, and they still can. So talk me through your first reaction, and then we're going to discuss what the boot actually is in a little bit.
Well, my first reaction was, oh, that's very interesting. I've never seen that before, because this is a football boot that wasn't really on my radar. I did the math the other day. Oh crap!
I think it came out in 2003, right?
Yeah. So I was very young when these came out, and Mizuno was not on my radar back then. And right. I don't think this is one of those football boots that like a lot of people were requesting or asking for. But when I saw them, I was just very surprised that this came out in 2003. Like how far ahead of the game was Mizuno 18 years ago? Like, it's crazy.
The crazy thing is, I mean, the funny thing, if I can just ask you a question, like you said, I don't know how many people ask for that. And usually, at least some people on the Boot Nerds podcast, I'm not going to name names, but some people have been kind of upset that we got boots that we never asked for. But that's probably because the boots that we got but didn't ask for were not the best. However, these are kind of good.
Yeah, there's such a thing as a pleasant surprise, and this is one of them.
I think this falls in that category. So this is actually a combination of the Morelia 2 and the Mizuno Wave Cup that we saw back in 2002. So they have different designers, and both of those designers have like their own vision, their own direction they want to go. So the Wave Cup obviously had the wave element in the tooling and was, by all accounts, a fantastic boot. We saw that with the Wave Cup Legend that came out a few years ago. One of like the biggest aha moments in my adult life. And then of course we have the Morelia 2s, which is, I think it's fair to call it a modern classic, and perhaps the best modern classic that we have. One of the best OG boots out there. For me, it's in a different class to the Copa, right? And then they just sat down and said, okay, how can we bring the best of those two worlds together? And they did the Morelia Wave. Easy. And when I saw this for the first time, I don't know about you, but the first thing I thought about was that this was the Neo before the Neo. So this is where they took that OG, super soft, high quality K leather upper, and they slapped on this relatively like lightweight, speed focused tooling on with a bit of wave in the heel, and it has like Neo vibes to me. Tell me what you think.
I'm with you on that, although I like this way more than almost any variant of the Neo. It's just more a style of football boot that I like, where the leather upper,
bulkier and chunkier.
But it's not bulkier. The base is definitely bulkier and chunkier than what you'd find from a typical speed boot, certainly a Morelia Neo. But I like this kind of combination of elements that they've gone for there. The comfort is undeniable. The touch is phenomenal. And I think something that's interesting to point out about this boot in particular is the stud pattern. That's a stud pattern that you just don't get from any brand anymore. And that was like a very popular layout looking back into the early 2000s. I mean,
you don't get it from Mizuno either.
No. So it's just one of those football boots that feels really good. A lot of people called me out for saying that every time Mizuno releases a new boot, I mention that it's my favorite. And I just want to defend myself a little bit in saying that that's not true. I think both you and I are under a lot of pressure whenever new stuff comes out to mention whether or not we like it more than what came out before or something like that. And I like to say, this is my favorite boot from Nike, my favorite boot from Adi, like my favorite boots from all the brands. And I don't know, I came out and said pretty confidently, and I don't like making these statements often, is like, this is a football boot that I will be wearing for the foreseeable future as long as I'm not testing out anything new. It's my new go-to. And it's just, it's
like
so well put together.
I agree. I think I'm still going to be a Neo made in Japan, a Neo beta made in Japan man. But I mean, I'm going to put these, I'm going to have these in my match bag for a good few months, I think. It's going to be a little bit tough for me to choose between these and the Wave Cup Legends, because the Wave Cup Legends are just, they feel a little bit more nimble and, you know, ever so slightly, how do you say this in English? Like it's a little bit sharper and more, it's not minimalistic, but there's just a little bit less boot. And I really like that tiptoe sensation that you get in the Wave Cup Legends. But when we talk comfort, this is a Mizuno boot as you know them. It's next level comfortable. That heel fit you get right here, the way it cradles your heel, it's of course a suede material, but the shape of the heel is just something that I think we'll struggle to find even in most modern boots from some of the other brands. Absolutely fantastic. The boot has a good stability. It's relatively lightweight, and it's something that, you know, if we put this up, this is a boot from 2003, right? If we put this up against the Tiempo Legend 8, I'd probably go for this one.
Oh, I would definitely go for that one.
And it's 18 years old.
It's crazy. Look, and I talked about this recently in a couple reviews that I've done of Mizuno boots, but I look at this boot and I think the refinement level is what's so special. Like, what do you change? I think there's an argument like, oh, you don't necessarily need the fold over flap tongue, but that's kind of part of that original design from 2003. So I understand why they incorporated it. And
but look at this. Look at how much.
Like, they just did everything right. And also, on the topic of people that love to jump on this Mizuno boots are way too expensive bandwagon, which I understand, especially if you're in certain parts of the world where you're ordering from a different country and there's international shipping charges and stuff like that. But if we're just talking straight retail price, like, you're paying $275, 275 euros for a top end boot from Nike or Adidas. This is a couple dollars more, which you're basically going to pay the same price for like a CR7 colorway or something like that. And the quality, the craftsmanship, the materials used, it's simply unmatched. So it's, for me, it's like, do you want to pay that premium for effectively marketing and I guess some research and development, or do you want to pay that little bit of money for really what is, I don't want to say a piece of art, but like functional art?
I get why people, beat us with the whole Mizuno boots are expensive bandwagon stick, because they are expensive. Let's not beat around the bush here. They are more expensive than most other football boots. And would I say that I think they are too expensive? Well, yes and no, but you just get quality. This is what quality costs. There is a cost of everything, and high quality premium stuff is just expensive. There's a reason that people pay a lot of money for a Rolls Royce. And some people go out and buy that. There are also people who go out and buy, I'm not going to hate on the car, but it's a different price segment, a Volkswagen Up, right? And they're totally happy with that. It's just a completely different mindset. But if you appreciate, as you say, fine craftsmanship and, that feeling where you don't have to break the boot in. It's so well made that it just fits your foot from the get-go. If you appreciate those little extra things, that's what a Mizuno boot will give you.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not for everyone. I totally agree. Those high-end made in Japan Mizuno boots are for the people who know and who care and who are willing to actually want to treat themselves to the best of the best.
Yeah. And we might have talked about this before on a previous episode, but I do want to mention supply, because I think when Nike comes out with a limited edition release, certainly when Adidas does, they charge that premium retail price. Oh, Predator Accelerator remake, we better charge $350. That's crazy. And granted, they're making them in limited quantities, but pretty much all of this made in Japan stuff, limited or not, there's probably one pair of those for every 10,000 pairs of Nikes. Like the amount that they're producing and the amount that are out there is significantly less. And that's also part of the reason why the price tag is a little bit higher. Doing things the way that they're doing them at the quantities they're doing them comes at a price. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mizuno doesn't make any money from their made in Japan product line.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't know.
I've never thought about it, but I hope they do, because they deserve to make some money off of these products. But I mean, to sum it up, Josh, we could go on and on about these forever. Is there anything you don't like about these? I
would have.
We got to be fair. We got to hand out criticism as well.
Yeah,
constructive feedback, if you will.
I think for me, I would have really liked them in a different colorway. As much as I like the colorway, when I looked them up, the first one that pops up is the black boot with the white logo and the red accents. I love how that looks. That's probably what I would go for if I could just had free choice of colorway. Other than that, I don't want to say it's near perfect, but I have a really, really hard time picking out like significant flaws in this boot. I guess the laces, Mizuno still has crap laces on their made in Japan product. I don't know why they insist on using those.
But that's the thing. And given that this is a remake, I also thought long and hard about it and said, okay, I would maybe like, the tongue to go away. Look at this. Looks absolutely phenomenal, right? But then again, it is a remake, and do you want to mess with the remake to make these little tweaks? No, I don't think so. And it's a very, very nice pair of football boots, and I love them even more for the fact that they're showing how good Mizuno were at doing football boots, building football boots in 2002 and 2003. So yeah.
It's just crazy. Again, 18 years old, and you throw it into the mix with the Tiempos and the Copa Sense and the Puma King Platinum, and it fits right in and is arguably better.
Yeah. It's
nuts.
It is what it is. And people will probably call us out for being, Mizuno fanboys, to which I will always respond, go and try a pair of Mizuno boots and come back to me. And if you still think I'm a Mizuno fanboy, fair enough, I'll take it. But I haven't met anyone. I've pushed Mizuno boots to a lot of teammates and, you guys out there who have given feedback that you've now tried the Mizuno boots and were actually right. Most of the time, right? So yeah, and you talk about price, Josh. These are at Unisportstore.com. These are €305, which is actually €5 more, only €5 more than these El Retorno, which is an X Speedflow.1, and it is a throwback to the basically F30.7 boots that Messi wore in 2007 when he scored that goal against Getafe, where he ran the entire half the pitch, right? Rounded 3, 4, 5 defenders and the keeper slotted home in a carbon copy of Maradona's goal from '86, and it's just a very cool boot. And on top of that, a very, very limited, but even more importantly, extremely good football boot.
Yeah, this is another
and
one.
This came out of this came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, I did not expect these to. It's not just the colorway; it's the boot itself that is surprising. Because when I first saw them, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting take on the X Ghosted. Oh wait, it's not an X Ghosted. What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? What I can tell you. Is what I said in my playtest, that the upper, as you can see here, it is very, and I mean very, very, very soft. It's not as plasticky as what we got on the X Ghosted. It's and because of that, it's really comfortable. You still get that like speed boot feel. You get the Carbitex tooling, and to me, this is. How do I put it right? This to me is probably what I had hoped the X Ghosted 0.1 would have been. Like it's like they've learned and they've obviously done some things that we can talk about later, but it's a massive, massive improvement. This.
Yes.
Such a great boot, and I don't care if this is a Messi boot. I am going to rock these because they're amazing.
Yeah, and we'll talk about more of the tech side of things at some point in the future, because it's a bit of a tease from Adidas. I'll say that much, because
he's going to wear them during the Copa America tournament, which is probably why they're dropping them now, so he can actually do it, and you know, people are going to talk about it, so they might as well release them, whet people's appetite, and the boots are going to drop in July, right?
Which is really strange, given that they had just recently unveiled the showpiece pack.
Yeah,
gold Nemesis boots, which have it's fine if they just made gold Nemesis boots, but as soon as they slap a Messi logo on there, now it's like, okay, these are for him and nobody else. So the fact that he's now not going to wear those, or I guess likely not to wear them, is interesting.
I felt a bit bad for you, because I think you actually released a video on those exact boots the day before we dropped the video on these. Just like completely undermining you.
I had no idea.
I'm so sorry, man, but you know, NDAs and all that.
That's okay. That's what happens. It's no big deal. But it's also very important, because I think this is something that a lot of people in the people that watch the Boot Nerds podcast that think too hard about football boots and care too deeply about the marketing, and I think are just Messi fans in general. It's been hard to see Messi's signature boots do so poorly over the last little while, and I think a lot of that's been attributed to him being in the Nemesis line rather than the X line. And I think, as the name would suggest, we are seeing Messi move back into a true speed boot, for lack of a better word.
He is making a return. The return, in fact, to the speed line, because obviously the Nemesis is going to retire. And also because I think these might just be more to his preference. So everybody wins, and Adidas finally have the biggest star in, I would say, what could be the most commercially successful silo. It's just nice to have Messi. It feels right? Mm-hmm. And a pretty nice way of celebrating him being with the brand for 15 years.
Yeah.
Better at least than giving us another F50.6 unit, which was crap.
Still kind of a weird remake, but I like the honesty in putting the F30 logo on one of the boots.
Agreed, yeah.
That's a cool little touch, and it shows that whoever was involved in this project is a boot nerd themselves, because you have to know your stuff, you have to know your history to even take that into consideration when putting them on the boots.
And it's just nice for them to like finally recognize as well that he wore F30s back in the day. And I mean, a lot of water has flown under the bridge, and it's not such a, it's not so dangerous anymore to talk about that he didn't wear the top model back then. But it's just, we haven't heard much officially from Adidas either. So now it's out there and it's cool. And it's 300 euros. And let me put it like this. Would I normally pay 300 euros for an X.1? I probably wouldn't. But being that this is something new and special and exciting, and it is what it is, and it's very limited, I don't think it's completely unfair. And I think this price is more warranted than those accelerators that we have seen, which are, what, 350 euros?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are definitely more fair.
Yeah, I think so. And it's just as a collector's item, especially, even if you don't plan on wearing them, like that's cool. Like no one expects an F50.7 lookalike ever to come out. So the fact that they put it out in kind of I know there's significance to Messi with that colorway, but it is a random colorway when everything's said and done.
It is. But it's a cool colorway.
It's a cool one, yeah. I'm excited to see him wear this during Copa America. I just think that's going to be so cool.
Looks good on foot. The way they flow into the heel, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So, question. I know you guys hate it when I say it, but it's never going to die. 2 girls over drinks. Josh, which boot are you going to wear and go? Which boot would you buy? You have 310 euros.
I have to buy the Mizunos. Granted, I've not tried the X yet.
No, you haven't.
As we're making this video.
Right.
But
you're going to go for the Mizunos.
Just knowing what I like. I'm a leather boot guy. That Morelia Wave is special.
I agree with you, but I will actually do something slightly unexpected, and I think I'm going to go for the Messis. I am a speed boot guy. I appreciate my thin boots, and what they've done with this is next level. And on a match day, I would probably rather wear these than the Morelia Waves. With that said, I mean, much love and all that to the Morelia Waves, but yeah, I like my boots thin. So, I mean, it's kind of like choosing between. I would rate both of these like 9.5 out of 10s, and it's like I'd be happy with either or. Anyways, that's a lot of talking, Josh. We can dive much more into what's actually hiding underneath the El Retorno F30.7 design at a later date, because then I can talk about it. And I think we should move on to some questions, but not before you guys have let us know which of the 2 boots you would choose if you had 310 euros to buy one of these. So let us know in the comments. And also, if you like the Boot Nerds podcast, leave us a like on the video, because it's going to do great for that YouTube algorithm juice. So more people are going to see this and can enjoy the content as well. So you're doing everyone a favor by clicking the thumbs up button. Mm-hmm. Not just because Josh will be happy, but also because Josh. Anyways, Josh, questions. I'm rambling.
Questions. And if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer in the next episode, potentially, feel free to leave that down below in the comment section as well. I will be reading the questions this week, which is a very rare treat on the Boot Nerds podcast.
Yeah, because I was out shooting. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's fine. First question comes from Ketchup and Mustard 101. Oh, great username.
Great name.
Do you guys think more brands should pull a New Balance and make a wide fit variation of their silos? Then he also asked, do you think more brands will in the future put demon skin on their boots and totally copy Adi? Wide fit. Okay, so we'll start with wide fit from other brands. Will we see it implemented anytime soon?
I don't think we're going to see it implemented. I think it's too much hassle, because when you make a wide fit, you need to do it on a new tooling. Well, unless you want rollover, but you want to do it on a wider tooling, I guess, which means that you need to open up the molds for those toolings, and that is really, really expensive. So it's a significant investment and a significant dedication to making wide boots. So I don't think we're going to see it, but I really appreciate what New Balance are doing. Do I think we should see it? I would love to, but the question is whether it's commercially viable and if there will be enough people buying it, because I think that most brands today, and tell me if you agree or not, but most brands, they have options that are decent for wide feet. I can't think of a brand who doesn't have at least one boot that fits wide feet relatively well.
Yeah.
So you might not be able to go out and get a Morelia Neo if you have a chunky foot or let's say an X. That would be not the nicest, but you can do it, and they will actually fit most feet, because their last makings these days are so good, right?
Yeah.
It would be nice, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out too, because you did mention having alternate sole plate tooling that would be wider. New Balance with their wide fit boots currently do not do that. They simply form the upper around a wider, higher volume shape. And for the most part, that works. And I think other brands could probably get away with that as well. I think what you were hinting at there is it's kind of a logistical nightmare, not just for the brands, but also for a store like Unisport. Like, take all your top end boots now, or all of your even takedown model boots, and then double them, because now you have a regular and a wide fit version. Like, that's a ridiculous amount of football boots to bring in and order and have inventory of.
Pity our buyers. That is going to be like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Especially when you buy the first round of stock, like guessing what the demand for the actual wide fit boots will be is going to be, yeah.
And then the other thing is, I think it's the argument of, do they gain sales from doing this? Or are they just pleasing a very small vocal minority? Because I think you're right. Point. I think if you really want a Nike boot, regardless of whether you have wide feet or not, you're probably going to end up with a Nike boot anyways. Yeah. So is it worth it for them?
And I know a lot of people who shouldn't wear the Mercs, but who wear the Mercs. Mercs is a bad example, but you know what I mean. Back when the Mercs were super, super tight and narrow, they wore the Mercs anyway. And the boot looked like it was going to burst. But they wore it anyway because they wanted to. I don't think it's going to matter that much, to be honest.
That's picture. A great point, Jay, because I think a lot of people that watch the Boot Nerds podcast, you're probably a little bit older. You're probably buying your own boots, and you're probably buying your boots with some logic. But yes. I remember being a kid, and I'm sure you remember the same thing, and cramming your feet into boots that didn't fit you or were super uncomfortable because you didn't care that they didn't fit right. You just wanted that football boot. And kids still ultimately make up the vast majority of boot sales. So again, I don't think wide fit changes much as far as their bottom line is concerned.
Yeah, I think what you just explained goes for 99% of the cases with people wearing the Superfly 2 and 3s.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to screw up your feet, but you wore them anyway because they were Superflies.
Yeah.
And you told yourself that these are good boots, but they weren't. Anyways, Demon Skin on, I don't think it's going to happen. And you know why? I think this is such like an Adidas thing to do now. Yes, we have seen shot elements in other boots, but I don't think we're going to see a direct ripoff of Demon Skin in that sense with the actual spikes from other brands, because it's such an Adidas thing and it might be seen as a major cop-out. So I don't think Nike or Puma at least will touch it. Mizuno, never going to touch that stuff. New Balance might do it if they get really desperate, but maybe Joma one day. But I don't think it's gonna happen. Will we see other boots with texture? Absolutely. Rubber elements, maybe, but a direct Demon Skin ripoff. Nah, I don't see that.
Yeah, I think that's a risky thing to do, is go after the spikes.
I agree. Yeah.
All right, next question we have here from Jilly Reba.
Jilly Reba, long-time viewer of the Boot Nerds podcast.
Hey guys, do you think football boots packs will slowly die off and players will get their own custom boots using Nike by You? I feel like Nike ID is becoming more popular these days in the general public, and that it's only a matter of time before pros start doing it as well.
Let me make it a very, very short answer. No. The long version of that answer would be that I think from a marketing point of view, having packs and seasonality is super important, because that creates recognizability. And it's alpha omega to sell boots, especially when you sell a bulk of like takedown boots, that the people can look at what Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, Mbappe, etc., what they're wearing, and then go out in boots that either are those very boots, the top models, or the boots that look like them, the takedown models, because they have the same design. And pack designs, colorways, all that stuff, it comes into the picture here. So I think it matters. And I don't think we're ever going to see something like Nike ID take over. I think it's going to might become a bigger and bigger thing, especially if they lower the price. But I think it will always be a niche thing. And you might see that it's growing in popularity because it's doing so within the boot community. But I don't know anyone outside of the boot community who have the faintest idea about what Nike by you is and that you can do your own football boots.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with most of what you just said. I think the price premium is something that's never going to be a mainstream thing. I think there's huge value to brand recognition and having a bunch of players that are all very recognizable wearing the same colorway or even the same football boot. That's extremely valuable. Again, think back to every major tournament or finals match where you have certain boots that stick out as being memorable because there were a lot of players wearing them, not just one.
Yeah.
The other thing is the way that you buy a Nike ID boot, which is going directly to Nike, which cuts out every single other store that isn't Nike directly, which is not realistic anytime soon. And then it's also, you have to consider the made to order aspect of Nike by you, Nike ID.
You have to wait a month for your boots.
You have to wait a month, sometimes 2 months. And if the demand gets that high, you might be waiting 3 or 4 months. So
if it even shows up.
If it even shows up, because Jay has had some issues with Nike.
Absolutely.
Look, it's just, I don't see that as an issue. I think Nike is probably going to use Nike ID to their benefit as far as promotion is concerned with certain players throughout the year, and more power to them to do that. But I just don't. It's not going to be replacing colorway packs anytime soon.
I don't think so either. I understand the question. It's a good question, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. And then we have a final question here from Edwin C. He asked, Josh and Jay, why did Nike choose not to release the Tiempo 9 and Phantom GT2 before the 2 big tournaments this year? He also says, I understand if you can't speak about future releases. He's looking out for you, Jay.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, look.
I mean, I can't speak about, rumors or stuff that's not on the market. So,
yes,
I mean...
It's inevitable that there will be a next generation of Tiempo and likely a next generation of Phantom GT or whatever replaces Phantom GT. I'm not supposed to talk about a lot of this stuff either, but I have a little bit more freedom than Jay. I think the reason why Nike I think a lot of brands don't release completely new boots before major tournaments is because you're often going to have a hard time getting players to switch into them. Like, you have to consider that this tournament's coming in at the end of the full season for all of these players. And they've been wearing the same boots all season long. And now here comes the Euro and here comes the Copa America, where it's arguably higher stakes and more important than a regular season match. And you want them to wear completely new boots. It's a big ask for a lot of players to switch. I know that us as average consumers, certainly as boot nerds, are super excited to wear something new. Like, who cares? But we're just playing Sunday League and it doesn't matter. When it matters and you have an entire country willing you to win and you're messing around with new boots, not that your boots should be an excuse for winning or losing or anything like that, but you kind of want to eliminate variables like that. So I think it's, from a marketing perspective, it doesn't look good if Nike releases a new boot and half the players are wearing them and the other half are wearing the old ones. There's no cohesiveness there. Jay, you're just nodding. He agrees.
I have a lot of stuff to say, but I'm not going to say. Even that's just generic. So thank you for the questions. I think we should round it off here. And guys, let us know what you think in the comment section. Should it be the El Retorno boot or the Morelia Wave that you would buy for, if you had 310 euros? And you wanted to buy a pair of football boots. Don't go out and tell us you wanted to buy a PlayStation 5, because that's kind of defeats the purpose. But let us know in the comment section right down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave us your questions for next week in the comments right down below as well. You can also go and follow Josh and the Unisport channel if you click on the bubbles next to our faces. And of course, click the subscribe button in the middle of the screen to subscribe to the Bet Podcast on the interwebs. And with those words, I have been JayMike and I approve this message. Thanks for watching.
See ya.